Guys, Marsingin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I am putting up the run of the LR, Trunks and Vegeta versus the Metal Cooler Core. So this is probably like the big final boss like video that I'll do with these guys. No one really cares about Omega anymore. I remember I posted a poll a little while ago asking which Red Zone boss videos in particular people were the most interested in. I think the question that I put on the poll was essentially along the lines of like, if I could only do one like Red Zone boss video, because obviously for like Heroes, you know, we had like 20 odd units coming out. So it's like, if I could only do one Red Zone boss video, which one would you guys want to see? And pretty much all of the votes were split between Broly and Metal Cooler Core. No one really cares about Omega, so I've done everybody else. I've done all the other bosses, I should say. So this is the last video focusing on Vegeta and Trunks. Obviously, I'm sure we'll be using their team, showcasing other units on their team and stuff like that for a while as we go through some of the 200% units and things like that. But this one is an interesting test for them, although not so much as other units, because when a new unit comes out, whether it's a Dokkan Fest exclusive, whether it's an Easy A, like any of those kind of things, obviously the Red Zone boss to which they have type disadvantage is obviously always going to be the biggest test, and for some units just, you know, not possible to do. Like certain tech units you would just not take, sorry, not tech, STR, you would just not take against Broly, right? Because unless they have some sort of extra defensive tech, they're not going to be useful there. So that's where this unit is a little bit different, because obviously if we're using them quote unquote correctly, they have guard. So it doesn't matter that the boss is physical, right? So one thing people have to remember about Vegeta and Trunks, I have actually seen a couple of people forget this, because obviously, you know, for global players, we know of Vegeta and Trunks as being this like slot 1 god, which they are. But bear in mind, we have to remember, if we get their entrance animation, which on this team, I think like every single unit is Bond of Parent and Child, so very easy to get their entrance animation on this team. If we get their entrance animation, then obviously we... see, I really don't want to risk Gohan's guard. Shall I put him in the middle? I just can't. I can't put my trust in this fraud. Once we get to the physical phase, then we'll be fine. But yeah, let's do that. I completely lost my train of thought now because of Fraud Han. But one thing about Vegeta and Trunks, they will take a lot of damage in slot 1 still from some of these bosses, especially when they're not built up, right? Like on turn 1 at least. But yeah, we, you know, the guard is helpful. Oh yeah, that's it, about their guard, right? So people forget, as long as we get their entrance animation, they have guard for the first 5 turns. So if we're forced to put them in slot 2 for some reason, then we can go ahead and do that as long as it's within the first few turns. Because when we get to this actual next stage against the Metal Cooler Core, where we have the type disadvantage, if there's a ton of attacks in slot 1, depending on the rotation, like units like God Goku, as good as Vegeta and Trunks obviously are, units like God Goku, it would make more sense to put him in slot 1. But especially against a physical boss, if we were past the turn where their guard would be active outside of slot 1, then obviously we would not want to put them there, because they would just get absolutely destroyed. But that's the good thing, I guess, about this event in particular, because as we've mentioned multiple times when doing videos on this boss, the Metal Cooler army that we're fighting now, you always fight them for 3 turns, right? There's no... Oh, see, I really don't want Vegeta taking loads of attacks either. This is the other problem I was going to say. So you always fight them for 3 turns. If this was a different boss, any other Red Zone boss, there would be the potential that we could kill them before the attacks in slot 3 happen. So then we wouldn't have to worry about our unit in slot 3 taking a bunch of damage. But obviously on this particular fight, it doesn't work like that, right? So we will... I think what I'll do, actually, let's go ahead and pop the Whis here, because thanks to the support memory that I chose to bring, we are going to get a heal at the beginning of the next turn when we start the Metal Cooler Core, and we will still have the Whis in play. So, obviously the ideal scenario here is that Vegeta counters a super in slot 3 as one of the attacks. That would be pretty nice. Yeah, so you can see after one turn of getting a super off and getting hits and getting some build up, they went from taking, what was it, 170 in turn 1 from a slot 1 super to double digit damage. So it's really only like turn 1 where I guess they can be a little bit of a liability. And until we get to, I guess it is different when we get to the actual core, but in this fight, the fact that the turn 1 slot 1 they still take as little damage as they do is good. Yes, perfect. Okay. We got the good RNG coming in now. We've got the additional super for Goku, which means next turn we're going to be able to exchange into Gohan. So we're going to be in a good spot because we're against the physical Metal Cooler Core. Sometimes when you exchange into Gohan, depending on how late in the event it is, it can be a little bit tricky. Like if you're going up against Broly and you don't manage to exchange until the AGL phase, then obviously the first few hits that he takes, even though he has guard, they are going to do some damage. Oh, we didn't get the super counter. Come on, Vegeta. What are you doing? Right, we got the double defense raise and the Whis. How much do we take? Still 242. Jeez. Come on, Vegeta. I mean, I know it's only a 30% chance, but come on, bruh. You could have countered that. Alright, so good timing, though, for the support memory. Wow, they are sealed. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, so on this rotation, I guess it doesn't make much difference, right? Because we're not going to get any extra defense now. They don't get any extra when attacking, do they? And they get an extra 70% defense if they're in slot 1. That's the other thing, though, that does make a significant difference, is they get extra defense in slot 1. So even though they can't super to get any extra build-up here, it does make sense to put them in slot 1 for that extra attack and defense. So let's do... Yeah, we'll do this. Lock this in. So we have the Whis active still, so even if we do get slot 1 super, okay. Oh, let's go. The level 5 dodge, I think, because this is the friend one. The friend one is Rainbow. Mine is level 10 links, but it's only 2 dupes. So let me actually double check the friend, because it gave me just a recommended Rainbow guest, so I don't know if it's the dev like friend. I have no idea what their hidden potential or their links are like. I guess Vegeta and Trunks is a unit that you could give extra dodge to, because they build up crit chance, and on their active skill turn they get guaranteed crits. So I guess you could make the argument that they don't really need a lot of crit, if any. You definitely want to go full additional, and then I guess their secondary stat being attack or being crit or a dodge is kind of up to you, I guess. Alright, so these guys, they will still have their guard. They're sealed again, which is unfortunate. Let's see. We're on turn 5, so they are still going to have their guard. So I guess I could do this, right, and get the hits in with Gohan, so he gets some of his build up. I feel like that's probably a good idea, right? And then we can transform Gogeta in slot 3. Well, transform into Gogeta in slot 3. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with this team. So I've said this in a couple of the other videos about Vegeta and Trunks. One of the reasons why I'm really, really enjoying this team at the moment is because their leader skill covers so many units. Mainly because of bond of parent and child, right? But their leader skill covers so many units that when it comes to fighting like any boss, you're easily capable of building a team that, you know, has a bunch of units that will be effective against that boss. Like, we can slide in the Goku and Gohan unit. We can use the LR Super Saiyan 4s because they get the 200% leader skill, and then we can also throw in LR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta because he has type advantage in this last phase. Wow, 610, that would be crazy. 61k from the first hit is actually a little bit more than I expected, considering we have the type advantage. But I guess the Metal Cooler Core, he does hit pretty hard. And now that Gohan's got that extra defensive buff, he will be fine. Is he going to super them? Of course he is. The only attack in the middle. So how much do we take here? Because we still have our guard active. Yeah, see, 412k. That is a lot. So, obviously, if we'd gotten more... Like, it's unfortunate that they were sealed. Because if we'd gotten their 18 key super off, then obviously we would have a little bit more defense. So, it would have been a little bit more manageable. But it does kind of show you that guard only goes so far. Because I've noticed... I don't know the exact calculation for this, but I have noticed in the past with all units that guard, you can see this with Tech Gohan against like an int enemy. Even though the arrow is pointed downwards, and they obviously take a lot less damage than a unit that doesn't have guard, they still take more damage from a unit that they have type disadvantage against than they do from a unit that they don't, right? So I'm not exactly sure how that's calculated, but that is definitely a thing. So let's go ahead and get the active skill off here. This is a very good turn for us defensively, because God Goku's in slot 1 to take all the hits, and he is going to get this extra defense. Although actually saying that, we're past turn 5 now, aren't we? So although if this is turn 6, then it is 5 turns for this Vegeta and Trunks. So actually, we would be fine to do this, because that's something you have to keep in mind, right? You can put them not in slot 1, but only for the first 5 turns. Yeah, so it's turn 6. So if this unit was on turn 2, which they were, I can't get 2 rainbow orbs unless I don't get all of those int orbs, which is a shame. But that puts God Goku to having 100. It's only 157. It's funny how low his defense stat is, I guess, but the fact that he just has such a ridiculously high amount of damage reduction, I guess, makes up for it. So let's throw this off here and do this, just so we can get a nice little extra bit of damage. Just a casual 4 million. It's so funny nowadays with these bosses that have so much HP, doing 4 million damage and seeing that their health bar like barely goes down. It's pretty crazy. So we'll go ahead and do this. Now, based on last turn, if they eat a super in the middle, we actually still would die, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and Whis it. I imagine that this team, depending on how you build it, I would assume that the Vegeta and Trunks team would be able to no-item this with the right luck, but obviously, like, repeatedly getting slot 1 supered on the Vegeta and Trunks, for example, would definitely be a quick way of killing the run. So, something to bear in mind when it comes to the Metal Cooler Core specifically, is that, yeah, he still does a lot of damage to them, despite the fact that they are guarding. So, that's something that you have to bear in mind. And obviously, as I say, after this turn, we are now no longer able to put the Vegeta and Trunkses in anywhere other than slot 1, right? Because otherwise, we face the possibility of taking some big damage. But I mean, we're getting close to the win here. 7.2 million for Vegeta on a turn where he doesn't have Saiyan Raw is pretty decent. And then almost 5 million on the additional 12 key. Pretty good. I guess because I ended up floating the LR Gogeta, so we've actually never ended up with them on rotation together, but even so, pretty good. Alright, so the extra defense here, they're sealed again. Come on, bro. Why are you doing this to me? So fortunately, we have the Whis up, so it's not going to matter too much, but man, sealed again. Okay. So yeah, sealing, I feel like nowadays, with so many units, we noticed this with a lot of the heroes units, but like so many units getting defense on super, it makes some of these bosses that seal you so much more dangerous, because the inability to get that extra defense, like for them, they're still guarding, their defense has already been built up a pretty reasonable amount, so you know they can tank anything outside of the Metal Cooler Core super attack. But as we said on the previous turn, they would still tank it much better if they could super. But there are certain units, that if they get sealed, then it's pretty much like a death sentence for them, right? So I'm starting to feel, as much as I do hate rotation locking, I still feel like that is probably my least favourite of all of the mechanics that the enemy can do to you. But sealing is definitely, it's like, I'm noticing a lot more just how irritating sealing is when it comes to these events. So let me go ahead and we'll throw the animation back on so we can see the finish here. We'll get the finish with Gogeta, because I mean I could like attack here, get the 18 key super. They probably would finish him off even if they don't get crits. In fact, can I get the Dokkan attack here if I pick up all same type orbs? Let me see, if I do this... Oh, yeah, I can't even get physical orbs with you. I could do this and then we could get tech orbs. Is that going to give us the Dokkan attack? Oh, wait, they're sealed. Oh, well, never mind. We'll just go ahead and do this. So there you go. So that is the Vegeta and Trunks team versus the Metal Cooler Core. Obviously, the strength of this unit is their leader skill covers... Well, they've got a lot of strengths, right? The guard, all the defense, building up crit chance is really good. But the true strength of their team, I guess I should say, is just the fact that it's such a huge library of characters. Like, almost every Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, Gohan, they're all in here. So it gives you so many options when it comes to building a team for the actual difficult bosses. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Obviously, for those of you who have not pulled Vegeta and Trunks, maybe you didn't summon, maybe you did and you didn't get that lucky. We obviously have the Tanabata version of the banner, like the Starry Night, whatever it's called, coming out in a couple of days, which there will be tickets for. I'll do a video breaking down that banner a little bit more, probably the night before it comes out. It's the only thing that, honestly, I'm getting that itch to summon, even though I have 2 dupes in them. I always get that itch to summon when I've got stones, but the thing that's keeping me at bay is I'd rather do, if I'm going to throw a couple of multis at something out of boredom, I'd rather do it at that version of the banner, because even though I would say that banner is worse than the initial one if you're trying to pull them, because that new banner's got like 20 featured units. But it does also have the 7-year anniversary LRs on it, so if I'm going to throw a couple of random multis to see if I could get extra dupes for them, I'd probably now rather do it on the banner where I could get dupes for the anniversary LRs, because I have both of them with 2 dupes as well. So dupes for them or the Vegeta and Trunks would be nice. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.